My ex-husband and I are not on good terms, and he recently tried to get into my house under the guise of one of his future stepkids needing to use the toilet, but I refused because I don't trust him. He has a history of snooping through my things, and now he's saying I was needlessly cruel towards a child and should be ashamed of myself. Posted by you/bonus West 5031. Our custody arrangement is for each of us to pick the kids up on our day during our 2-hour pickup window. He arrived at the house, and I already had the boys ready. I saw his car pull into the driveway on my camera, so the boys were already halfway to the door when my ex knocks. I open the door, and he is holding the hand of a 4-year-old. He asks to come in and says his fiance's son needs to use the bathroom. I told him I don't want him to come inside, because I don't feel comfortable with him in my house. He has a history of snooping through my things. He asked me to take his future stepson to the bathroom, and I said I was uncomfortable with the situation. He said his stepson needed to pee. I suggested the McDonald's up the road. He said my bathroom would be way cleaner than a McDonald's. At this point, my 11-year-old started pestering his dad to stop so they could leave. My ex said, "Your brother needs to use the bathroom." My son said, "I'll take him." My ex said, "No, your mother would rather he pee his pants. We'll go, and hopefully we'll get to the McDonald's in time." My ex and the boys left. He messaged me afterward saying I was cruel to a child to punish him, and that's not okay. He said I made us both look bad in front of our kids and should be embarrassed of my actions. I have been fighting with him for so long, my perspective is screwed up. Was I in the wrong? Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Not the jerk. He wanted to snoop. This was obvious after he rejected your son's offer to take the kid to the bathroom. Sneaky, isn't he? Ops response. Always has been. He's an intelligent man. Commenter 2. Okay, so I like to ask my husband these scenarios and get his 2 cents. He seems to think, because you have stated you've had multiple problems with the ex, that this was more about control. He wanted you to do what he said. Was the boy hurting and crying because he had to go? If not, my spouse thinks it was a power play by your ex. If it were me, I would have asked my son to take him and told the ex to go wait in his car, but if this douche just likes to jerk you around, then not the jerk. Ops response. He was holding my ex's hand and kind of looking around. He didn't say anything. Commenter 3. Not the jerk. Time to do exchanges at Mickey D's. Ops response. That doesn't work, because he will be late, and then if I go home, he'll want me to come back and then say I'm denying him his custody time. The judge said he can have a 2-hour window for pickup, but it's not fair to me to have to sit in a parking lot for 2 hours, so this is what was agreed upon with the judge for both of us. It's not perfect, but everything else we tried was worse. Commenter 4. What jerk judge gave a 2-hour window for pickup time? That's so inconvenient. Ops response. My ex said he needs the window because he helps take care of his fiance's 2 small children, who sometimes cause unavoidable delays. Commenter 5. Does your attorney know your ex is trying to gain access to your house, and is pushing the child exchange windows? This, from what you said here, seems like harassment. Ops response. He knows about the windows, but I didn't tell him about what happened yet because I'm still processing it. He's already dealing with a complaint my ex made about me taking the boys to see Superman, after he told me he wanted to take them. I'm so anxious about telling him there's a new issue. Commenter 6. Did you take them after he told you he wanted to take them? Ops response. Yes. The boys wanted to watch Superman the day it came out, which was during my custody time. I told them I would take them. He texted me afterwards, saying he doesn't want me to take them, because he wants to do it. I told the boys their dad wants to take them, and they could decide between going with me or going with him. They wanted to go the day it came out. There's no rule saying he can tell me not to take them to movies he wants to take them to, so I took them. Update 1 week later. I did talk to my lawyer about what happened. He said we can address it at the hearing we already have scheduled about the movie situation. I thought that was that, but of course, it was my turn to pick up the kids today. When I arrived at my ex's place, he opened the door very wide and invited me in. I was suspicious and said no thank you. He kept insisting I come in so we can show the kids we are civil, but I had a bad feeling. I said I would just wait in the car for the boys to come out. I got in my car and texted my older son that I was there. A short while later, he texted me back, saying his dad said they couldn't leave unless I got them. I went back to the door and knocked again. Again, my ex invited me inside. I said I didn't want to come in, and that was when my boys showed up. My ex's fiancé was right behind them, telling them to come back upstairs. They ran to me, and we left. I don't know what his game is, but I'm not falling for it, whatever it is. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. He was way too insistent for you to come in, and then refused to let your kids leave? No. Always follow your gut, especially when the spider is so persistent in inviting the fly into the parlor. Commenter 2. He's just dying to establish him coming into your home as a normal thing. Who knows what kind of uncomfortable situation you would have found yourself in. Definitely discuss with the attorney and establish a meeting place near either house, or make it a rule that the kids can walk out to the car. Ops response. Yeah. I think so too. It's a gotcha thing. Look how nice I am, I invited you inside. Commenter 2. I'm sure there is a good reason you left him, and not spending time with him was the intended outcome. Ops response. You want to know something funny? Spending time with him was the best part. It was everything else that sucked. I had no privacy. He went through my phone and computer almost every night. If I asked to use my phone while he was going through it, I was hiding something. He would dig through the drawers, looking for hidden stuff, and mess everything up, and if I complained, he would do it again because there must have been something there if I was complaining. I had to account for every penny I spent, every moment I wasn't being productive. When we were doing things together, he was so charming, funny, and sweet. He's so handsome, and smart, and fit. But it got to the point where I was scared whenever he wasn't around, because I couldn't trust myself to make decisions without his approval. I was becoming a shell of myself. Commenter 2. So spending time with him was great. Except for that one not insignificant part of him, which was constantly terrified of rejection and betrayal for no good reason. Friend, he was not a nice guy who also happened to be nosy. He was running the cycle of abuse in 2 machines at the same damn time. He made you feel scared all the time, like you could not make a decision by yourself. The charm and kindness were not the other side of this controlling man. They were the tools to get him there. Ops response. Yeah, that's why I left him. I was just explaining what it felt like. I guess it's not really relevant. I just wanted it off my chest. I think I get scared sometimes that people will assume I'm wrong, crazy, a liar, or other because if he was so bad, why would I marry and have 2 kids with him? But the good was so good. It's just, the bad kept getting worse. Commenter 2. I hear you, and I believe you. I just wanted to make sure you weren't giving him more grace than he deserves, even in retrospect. I've experienced abusive relationships, and I know they can be so damn sneaky about it. They act nice, and then the behavior starts slowly increasing. Before you know it, you're in crazy town and trying to negotiate with the mayor, who is, of course, not willing to change. I'm glad you've moved on, and you're keeping firm boundaries. You know his tricks now. Ops response. Yeah. That's exactly what it was like. He was the mayor of our marriage. I just think it's important to remember the good stuff, so he can't trick me again by being nice, because he was nice before too. I have to remember that. Otherwise, he might convince me he's changed. Second update 5 days later. Just concluded our hearing, and it went okay, all things considered. Judge said that neither of us need the permission of the other to take the children to age-appropriate experiences like movies. He told X not to tell me I can't take the kids to do certain things because he wants to do them. If he wants to do them, he can, but so can I. So that was a win. Judge was annoyed that there was another drop-off issue. He was especially annoyed because the reason he gave my ex a 2-hour window for drop-offs was because he said he needed the flexibility, since he is a caretaker of his fiancé's children. If he's taking them with him to drop-offs, why does he need 2 hours? Judge told him do not take his fiancé's children to my house, and do not ask to come inside my house. He told me not to ask to go inside his house either. He also told me not to rush my ex and to be patient and allow the children time to come to the door. I wasn't rushing him, but I didn't say that to the judge. I just agreed. X also dropped the bombshell that the week of the wedding he needs me to pick the kids up from the resort the wedding is at instead of his house, because they are going on their honeymoon straight from the resort and not returning home. I am very uncomfortable with this, and my lawyer said that is too much of a burden to put on me. The judge disagreed with my lawyer and said we all have to be flexible sometimes. So I am stuck doing that. I feel like he intentionally started fights about the previous 2 issues he knew he would lose on, so the judge would side with him on the final issue to make things fair. Maybe I'm just paranoid. So 2 wins and a loss. Hopefully they'll be too happy about being married to pull any stunts. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I know it sucks that you have to drive to get them, but this is great news about the rest. He has additional rules that stick forever, while you are only inconvenienced once. If you could only win on 2, I'm glad it was the 2 you got. Ops response. You are correct. I feel good about that, even though I am incredibly stressed out. I am worried he is going to try to trick me into doing or saying something that can be perceived as hostile, and tell the judge I sabotaged his wedding. Commenter 2. Who is watching the kids during the wedding? Is there a relative from your ex's side that you are friendly with? If so, can they hand the kids over to you in a separate area of the resort, or after your ex and his wife leave the resort for their honeymoon? Ops response. I doubt anyone will be specifically watching them. They will be at the ceremony, surrounded by relatives, and they are old enough to behave. My ex may ask someone specific to keep an eye on them, but I doubt it. He always expects the boys to be on their best behavior without having to be told to do so, and for them to hold themselves accountable. No, I am not friendly with any of my ex's family. They all think I am a monster who destroyed a loving home with my selfishness and inflexibility. Third update 2 months 2 weeks later. Well, I thought I would update everyone on what happened when I picked my kids up from my ex-husband's wedding. First of all, I got there at 8:20. As soon as I arrived, I texted my ex and my older son that I was there. Then I walked into the lobby. I checked my phone and had no response from either. I waited until 8:40 and then walked to the front desk. I said I was there to pick up my children and asked if maybe my ex had left a message at the desk for me. They knew nothing. I called my older son, and he didn't answer. I called my ex, and he didn't answer. At this point, my anxiety was bad, and I felt sick. At 9, I called my lawyer, and his receptionist said he would call me back. I kept calling my older son, and he didn't answer. This was unusual for him. I was scared something had happened. I asked the front desk which room they were in, and they couldn't tell me, which I understood. At 9:20, I called the police. It took them a while to get there. When they arrived, it was past 10, the pickup window. I was panicking. All I could think was that my ex was going to tell the judge I was late. When the police arrived, they asked the front desk for my ex's room number. They told the police he had checked out. I didn't know what to think. They asked the front desk if they had kids with them when they left, and they said no. They said my kids were actually booked in a suite with her kids and his parents, and they had paid for late checkout. The officers told me to wait downstairs and went to the room. They came back with my kids and their stuff, and we left. My oldest said his grandfather took his phone away, and they stayed up late and had no alarm set. Both boys said their grandparents were furious when the cops showed up. My lawyer eventually called me back, and we scheduled another custody hearing for after the honeymoon. At the hearing, my ex tried to put everything on me. He said he told me the kids would be with his parents, he didn't, and that I staged the whole thing to make him look bad. He also said me calling the police traumatized the kids. I showed the judge all of our communication. The judge even interviewed my kids, who said even they didn't know they would be with their grandparents until the prior evening, by which point my oldest's phone had already been confiscated. The judge gave me primary custody with visitation and said all pickups and drop-offs will now be at neutral locations with a 30-minute window. He was done. He was pissed. My ex has filed to have our case transferred to another judge because this one is clearly biased against him. In the meantime, though, the boys and I are happy and doing well. They're both getting great grades so far this year. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Your ex is gonna learn a lesson about family court judges. When you file to have a case transferred and the previous judge was competent and followed the law and did what was best for the kids, the next judge tends to get pissy that someone is attempting to skirt a legal ruling simply because they don't like it. Ops response. I hope that's the case in this instance. Commenter 2. What absolute BS behavior. How did the grandfather justify taking your son's phone, his only means of communication with you? Let's hope the future judge will read the file and see straight through your ex's behavior, as well. So glad you got your custody. Good luck. Ops response. My son said his grandfather told him he was being disruptive at the reception and had to give up his phone for the rest of the night as punishment. I am fairly certain my son was not being disruptive. Commenter 3. Just wow. You must have been extremely worried as time went by. It sounds like the grandparents are as inconsiderate as your ex. And what a miserable way for ex to behave on his wedding day, not treating the children or you well at all. I don't think he will have a lot of luck getting any judge to see his actions as responsible. The clincher is that no message was left for you at reception. Ops response. I don't think they are simply inconsiderate. I think all their actions are deliberate. They wanted to take the kids home with them. To another commenter. My theory is that they intended for me to not be able to find the kids by 10, and then say that I abandoned them. Commenter 3. I had not even thought of that. Why would they have even thought that was okay? I do think they showed themselves up by getting angry when the police arrived. If I had been one of them and understood you had been trying to find the kids, I would have been embarrassed to have been part of upsetting you and really mad at my son for putting you in that position. The fact they got angry says a lot about them and why their son behaves as he does. Ops response. My kids said they were arguing with the cops and trying to tell them I was mentally unwell and had staged the whole situation. Apparently, the cops wouldn't talk to them, other than to say they had to stay upstairs while they took the boys and their things to me.